What is up? Happy Tuesday. Freezing my ass off on the way to work. I got excited, Ken. I'm like, it's sunny. I went out this morning. It was like 52 degrees. Took my dogs out really quick. Got back in. There was no wind. Started my walk here today. The wind hit me. That sucks. It's stupid.
And you're wearing shorts.
And I'm wearing shorts. I was just talking to Chris. I'm like, you're wearing shorts today. By the way, for those of you who couldn't see, Chris had blue shorts on, and he looked like he was ready to go on a yacht. He was very yacht tacky. Like, hello, everybody. Yeah, it's nice to meet you again today. A lot of stuff to get to today. And I'm going to tell you, I like to give you a rounded look at everything, right? I want Trump to succeed. And by the way, as Chris and I were talking about before we were so rudely interrupted in the switchover, the reality is it is a fish or cut bait situation, and we're going to have to deal with what potentially is coming. And we're going to have to take this head on when it comes to China. We have to decide, are they our adversary, or are we just going to play footsie with them? Some stuff on, some stuff off, some stuff on, some stuff off. I want to know. And by the way, if you'd like to know what they produce, here's a snapshot from a buddies over there at Breaking Point, Sagar.
80% of smartphones, 66% of laptops, and that is only the finished product. I'm not even talking about the input products. Some 69% of lithium-ion batteries. You have 3/4 of all children's toys. You have 50% of headphones. You've got 56% of sports footwear. You've got 53% of rubber footwear, ceramic sinks. I mean, you can go down the line for video game consoles, 86%, electric fans, 88%, Christmas festivity goods, 87%. I guess we won't be saying Merry Christmas in December. Stainless steel
China won the war on
goods,
Christmas.
86%. Plastic kitchenware, 80%.
Ryan Krim there and Sagar. China won the war on Christmas. Yes, because everything's produced there. Now, everything is. And we have to be strong, and we've got to understand that it is going to take a while and we're not going to onshore as much as I know a lot of people like, but that isn't going to happen the way that many people think. First of all, the amount of time and I do my research, I like to go deep, right? Some people, they want to just give you the snapshot. If we were to onshore all the manufacturing that, like a lot of people, it'd be great. This would be great. We're bringing onshoring all this stuff. 5 to 15 years between when we could start really opening up all of the stuff we need to about 10 to 15 years before the wages would catch up with the expense of the cost outside of something the government might do. That's a long time. But we can bring some stuff back. There's no doubt. And we can also find friends, allies, pals that we want to work with who can onshore some of this stuff. So everybody's doing well. And I bring that up because of the seriousness of what China did. And look, they're doing what any nation would do. You want to have a trade war? Let's have a trade war. China went out and said, all right, rare earth minerals. Very important to pretty much all the stuff that we need.
Arguably, it's the Chinese tariffs do not matter as much as where those targeted tariffs are. And so this was the single biggest news to me. Let's put it up there on the screen. And obviously, we've been covering it from last week, and we knew it was coming. But China has now, quote, halted critical exports as the trade war intensified. They have suspended exports of certain rare earth minerals and magnets that are crucial for the world's car, semiconductor, and aerospace industries. Now, this is a very important story because it really does reveal the entire game. Quote, 90% of the 6 rare earth minerals, which they have now ordered export restrictions on, are produced in China and refined in China. The metals and the special magnets made with them can now only be shipped out of China with a special export license for which U.S. companies no longer qualify.
That is a big deal. A huge deal. We need that stuff, especially with as modern as we are in today's world. It's little things. It's not just big things that, everybody thinks the big chips and it's a chip for the car. It's just that it is so many other things that we need so much of this rare earth minerals. And we have to absolutely say to ourselves, either we're going to fish or cut bait, right? I say something else, but I'm not going to say it. Or we go. And we go hard. The problem is we weren't smart enough to think in the future because everything seemed kind of haphazard the way it went. And we should have been telling these companies for years, hey, we're going to probably do this at some point in time, which, by the way, the Pentagon has been saying for 15 years. They did this to Japan and put a hurting on them. And we should have been ahead of this. But, why would I want to spend my cash now?
Quote, but China has barely started even setting up that system for issuing those licenses, meaning that the concentration there is a complete freeze. If factories in Detroit and elsewhere run out of these rare earth magnets that would prevent them from assembling cars and products with electric motors that require them, companies vary widely in their size of emergency stockpiles. So the timing of production disruption is very hard to predict.
So some companies have a little, some don't. Where we can get some of these things, that matters. And in some cases, you might just be best shutting everything down until this sorts itself out. Or will you find another buyer?
But the main flag was actually a quote that was buried deep within, which just shows you the rot at the center of the U.S. economy. Quote, many American companies keep little or no inventory because they do not want to tie up cash in stockpiles of costly materials. One of the metals, for example, subject to the new controls, dysprosium oxide, trades for $204 per kilogram in Shanghai, but much, much more than that outside of China. Meaning that you, first of all, you would be competing for almost 10% of whatever of the minerals or the refined minerals and magnets and other inputs that you need for your car. But second, that you are in a situation where when you create, and produce over 90% of something and you yourself have nothing on the balance sheet, again, we are looking at just a freeze of economic activity.
Which is the exact opposite of what we were looking for. And somebody said, well, Congo came to us. Brilliant. That's right. But China's also there. So many of these countries now who understand that these, especially after what took place with COVID, with the PEDs and everything, you can't be dependent upon a nation like that who at any given time can say, hey, we're here and we'll pull the rug from under you if we want to. So getting to their Belt and Road Initiative has been not as successful as they thought, and it's been very costly, but they've gone out and they've built hospitals. They've done things through infrastructure into places where they're gaining goodwill. We did the USAID thing in a lot of places. We're like, hey, guess what? You should really be inclusive and stuff, and, and try to give them things that, we think we're buying that soft power. We're just annoying. They give without strings attached. And what do they get? It's like the mob. It's what we talked about. It's access. It is access. If we're going to do it, and you know what? Damn Skippy, we should. We've got to figure this out. And that includes some of our allies who may not be thrilled, who do have some of this stuff potentially that they could help us out with. But
with these rare earth minerals, there has been no plan from the government around a stockpile. It's not like we can look to the EPA or some other agency, the energy department, and have confidence. And they're like, we have gone to Australia and we've ensured that U.S. companies will have preferential export agreements here with our allies. No, instead, we're actually hitting Australia with 10% tariff at the same time. Well, why would they give you anything? They don't want to give us anything.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure some of those things are going to change, as they should, as they absolutely should. But we've got to rethink a lot of this stuff and understand there's going to be tightening of belts and going hard at some of this stuff, offshoring it from there. And here's the other thing, which I don't hear. Why are we not trying to seduce some of our great companies into moving a lot of this stuff with taxes, incentives? We should be doing a lot more than we're doing if we're going to get into this hardcore. And I think a vast majority of these tariffs are going to go away when it comes to a lot of our allies. But there are certain things we need to look at in a serious way. And if we're going to do it, damn Skippy, let's do it. They're not our friends. They're not our pals. They've been planning for something like this for quite a while. They're not afraid at this moment to step away. We make up 15%. They feel they can make it up elsewhere. They've got all the IPs I think they need at this moment in time. And next will become the battle of the chips, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. I prefer Doritos, old school. Some other people like those chips they make in Taiwan. I don't know. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope all is well with you. Going on. What's up, Bell? Saw Bell earlier. Hey, what's up, Ken? How you doing back there?
I'm doing all right, boys. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good, man. What's the word?
Well, I'm looking at Saturday, and the rain chances are increasing.
What?
I don't like it.
What could, like you say increasing, I hear no tornadoes, though, right?
Yeah, no tornadoes, nothing like that. But it looks like we could. Now there's a 40% chance of showers.
Showers
Yesterday,
I'm okay with.
There wasn't any chance of showers.
No, and I was saying earlier, I go out this morning. It's beautiful outside.
Yeah.
And, early, take the dogs. There's no breeze, right? But I walk out today, and I think it's gorgeous. I get around the corner. That breeze hits me. I don't have my jacket. I'm in shorts. Freezing.
Yeah, I did the same thing, dude. I went on my usual walk this morning. I'm sure my wife and I looked interesting. She had on her coat. I had just a T-shirt and shorts.
That's nice. Flippers. Clown outfit. Take your dog for a walk in a clown outfit.
But yeah, it was chilly, man.
Wait till Halloween rolls around, because this year, obviously I wasn't here, but every year for Halloween, I have about 40 costumes. I will do a costume for almost every break.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. On Halloween. You kidding me?
Every break?
Yeah. Like I'll go and I'll change into something new, If I got to, depending on how much time I have. Think of it like it's a concert, right? Think of it like that. Bell.
Okay.
You going to wear a head this year, Bell? Huh?
No.
Damn Skippy. No, still not in shorts, everybody.
I'm seriously contemplating. I've got to get my license.
For shorts?
My tag.
You don't have to have a license for
I
shorts.
have to get my tag renewed, and I'm seriously considering possibly getting a vanity plate that just says headless on it.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Do it, Brother Bilal. Do
Funny.
it.
That'd be great.
Yes.
That'd be great. You got to go down to that DMV. Oh, man. Speaking of that, we're going to have her in tomorrow, right? Talking about Real ID.
Ah, cool.
After-
Get some more
Afton.
information.
Yeah, Afton's going to. And later on today, we're going to have Jason Whitlock in. They've got that big thing coming up here. Men, it's important. We have so devalued men in this country, so it's going to be interesting having him in here. You know what I'm going to ask him, too? I'm going to ask him about, we'll talk politics that night, but I'm going to ask him about the NIL stuff with what's going on in college football, and obviously what happened here in Tennessee with their quarterback and his dad essentially saying you can get a better deal somewhere else and painting himself into a corner. I mean, think about this. Yeah. They offered him $8 million for 4 years. He was making more money than most of the NFL starting quarterbacks are going to make this year in their first rookie contracts. And his dad thought he was going to get him a better deal somewhere else. And all of a sudden, once Tennessee pulled out, now everybody's like, we don't have to offer you anything.
That's what we call, oops.
So, a lot of good stuff today. We got, that's it, stuff on immigration. We got some stuff on what I think is very interesting, not only the loneliness epidemic, and this isn't just about men, this is about everybody, but the two things that may be the most important thing for longevity in life. We do that for you here. We care about you, kids. That's what we do here. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. One of the things that'll help with longevity, though, is getting fit, losing weight, getting off the yo-yo insanity. I want you to do this. Go to takelean.com and use my code Benson20. When you yo-yo diet, it is horrible for your heart, right? Really increases the risk, especially if you do it a lot, of stroke, heart attack, type 2 diabetes, because you're fighting the weight all the time. With Lean, it is formulated by scientists and doctors. It's natural. There's no injection, no prescription. And it does 3 things that are amazing. First, controls blood sugar. Second, cravings, because that's a big thing, right? That noise in your head. And third, takes that fat, burns it, turns it into energy, which is incredible. Try it now. Get off the yo-yo dieting insanity. I take it every single day, and it is incredible. Go to takelean.com. 20% off your first month. Go takelean.com. Use code Benson20. That's Benson20 at takelean.com. Speaking of health, you want your back to feel good? Wellness Institute of Nashville wants the same right now in honor of 47th birthday. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. It's a big 47 offer going on all year long. So take this number down, 615-246-5009. So why the Wellness Institute of Nashville? First, it's about technology and the amazing people that run it. First, right, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, they see the future. They understand what's going on. They built it for the future to make you feel better. And they're going to get you up and moving in ways you couldn't even imagine. So when you go in there, you're going to first and foremost notice how amazing the place is. But during your consultation, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, you're going to get an exam, which is awesome, right? They're going to give you all that. They're going to look around, give you the x-rays, you bring your MRI, and then they build a plan that's right for you and your back, getting you up and moving. The big 47 offer is going on right now. It's 47% off right now at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today. Get your back, if you will. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009.
Well, you may not be getting your real ID in time here in Tennessee. We'll tell you how that's going to go down and more at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know what's funny about that? Like somebody said yesterday, you should have got it earlier. There are places that just were not set up for it. They're not. And getting stuff, like you go in and some people just said, just go get your passport. It's easier. Yeah, people are frustrated. And I have a feeling I wouldn't be surprised if they try to kick it down the curb for a month or so. We'll see. This makes me laugh because every once in a while it is good to laugh. Last night, the Braves game, that's a baseball game for those of you keeping score, they're trying to do some fun stuff. They got a reporter out there in the crowd. Finds a couple lovely young ladies.
Wiley, how are things up there at the Corona rooftop?
Things are pretty great, Brandon. We're having a lot of fun up here up the Corona rooftop. Who do we got here?
Things are pretty good,
My name's
guys.
Lauren.
Lawrence, all right.
And I'm Kayla.
Kayla, and you guys hang out at the rooftop lounge often?
By the way, he's a little bit nervous. I want to say that. And girls kind of easy on the eyes. Oh, guys, that's pretty good here, guys. Oh, pretty excited.
I'm waiting for boom goes the dynamite.
That's basically is what he is.
Once a year I come out to visit.
Okay, well, we timed it pretty well. All right, good. How are you guys feeling about rooting for the Braves today?
Oof, I don't know. I'm hoping for the best.
What about you? Are you a Braves fan now?
Not quite.
Not quite. All right, I'm gonna go to work up here, guys. Good luck the rest of the way.
Okay, Wiley. You got 4 innings to get the numbers.
4 innings to get the numbers. And so Wiley, having absolutely no game, says exactly that.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Get us more Braves fans.
All right, so they want me to get your number.
They want you to get my number.
I'm dead serious. They're saying in my ear right now. She doesn't believe me because she thinks you guys are not. I'm making this up. Even if you guys weren't, I might use that in the future. That's actually a pretty good move.
This is unbelievable.
So the best part of this right now is that Wiley could totally be faking it. This might be the new move. Just walk around with a FanDuel microphone and an earpiece in and convince fans that they're actually on TV.
I should have thought of this years ago.
I am speechless.
I got the number. We're good.
She finally gave it to him. My friends is saying I should give you the number. Oh, goodness me. Ken, somebody texted in and said, you're an Oklahoma guy, right, Ken?
Yes, sir.
Who was the guy that listened to his mother, never made it big? They did a documentary on him. The best player that never was.
Oh, that was, I had it on the tip of my tongue. Great running back from Mississippi. And I cannot freaking remember his name.
Really?
Yes.
Forgot about it. Good God, man.
Sooner, greatest player
Ever.
who never was.
Here we go. Live on the air.
Let's see here. Marcus Dupree.
Marcus Dupree.
Yeah, big. I mean, Jim Brown type running back. That was probably faster, but I don't know, man. He never panned out. Never panned out in Oklahoma.
Really?
Yeah.
So, well, I mean,
he had some great games for Oklahoma, but it just wasn't for him.
No. Sometimes it's not. And the parents get involved, like we were talking about earlier. I mean, Tennessee quarterback Nico, Dad is taking over. Dad thinks that he can negotiate all these deals. and Dad talked them out of probably a few $1 million, if not more.
Yeah.
And he can't play in the SEC next year. So that's part of the agreement with the NIL is if you transfer, you can't transfer in conference. So he can go anywhere else. And Oregon, they reached out to Oregon thinking, I'm going to play the two against each other. And Oregon's like, nah, we don't want you.
Yeah. Now, see, I'm wondering how that transfer rule is being applied because Oklahoma's quarterback from last year is now at Auburn.
So, well, you can transfer if it's really interesting. I'm not quite sure how they're doing it. I don't know if they worked a deal or if his NIL deal that he signed with them saying he can't go and transfer to in conference. So
I got you.
The most important player, the most important person now on any of these college programs, it's not the coach or the recruiter. It's your general manager. Who can go out and sign the deals and bring in the money.
Yep.
Because at first when it was all about NIL, I thought, okay, well, you know what? Because it was stupid 5 years ago when kids were like, well, I kick for Clemson, but I do a juggling show on YouTube and I made $8, so they won't let me do any. It has nothing to do with sports.
Right.
And now it's like they go out and get these ridiculous contracts. This is not, I don't think, what they meant it to be. But they have no control over it.
No, I mean, you've got kids who come in, play for a year. They don't think they get paid enough or they didn't play enough, and they just leave.
So somebody says you have to sit out a year if you go to another SEC school. So, so if you transfer from Auburn to, wherever you're going to decide to transfer to, right, like Mississippi State or something, you have to sit out a year, but you can probably go play anywhere else in the country. So
Jackson Arnold, for all intents and purposes, he's playing at Auburn this
Did he play
fall.
last year?
Oh, unfortunately, yes.
That's how bad Oklahoma was. I had no idea if they played or not because, well, they weren't very good.
Yeah.
It wasn't their year. It's their year this year, man.
We'll see.
You got to say that every optimism.
It's like preseason. I keep seeing things. Well, the new quarterback sure is turning heads, and I keep posting wide. Is he interrupting prayer meeting?
Ooh, look at you, Ken. Don't mess with Ken.
Miss me with preseason stuff, man.
All right. I
want to see it on the field.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not mess with Ken. More on college football. Coming up, immigration. We'll talk a little bit about that. A lot of other stuff still to squeeze into today, including the health segment of the show, because we care about you guys. But I found this so interesting, and I absolutely see why this is such a huge deal when it comes to longevity and health. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And there's another hearing in federal court in Maryland today over the fate of a Salvadoran man sent by the U.S. to a counterterrorism prison in his native country on the basis he was here illegally and has alleged gang ties. The action now returning to the original federal judge who ordered Kilmar Abrego Garcia brought back in the first place. It is ABC News senior national correspondent Terry Moran on what the judge can do.
Abrego Garcia's lawyer spoke with our Lindsay Davis, and he says he personally has worked with the Department of Homeland Security to bring back clients from other countries after winning their cases in court. Quote, he said, "We're not asking anybody to do anything illegal. We're asking them to follow the law."
President Obama says he hopes more universities follow Harvard's example of defying Trump administration demands that campuses do more to combat anti-Semitism in the wake of pro-Palestine protests over the Gaza war. On Monday, the administration's Joint Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism announced a multi-billion-dollar freeze on funding to Harvard.
That line in the sand drawn by Harvard's president, that defiance has been met with applause here on campus by faculty and staff, and the university vowing not to surrender going forward. One of the big questions now, of course, is whether the university dips into that $50 billion plus endowment to try to make up for some of that federal shortfall.
Now, Harvard claims it is committed to fighting anti-Semitism and to making changes to create a welcoming environment. And a wave of U.S. states adding restrictions on the food stamps program. Indiana Governor Mike Braun signing a slew of executive orders to, quote, make Indiana healthy again.
Today's first executive order removes candy and soft drinks from taxpayer-funded SNAP benefits.
Idaho, West Virginia, Arkansas doing the same. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Busy Bee, HVAC.com. Go there, check out all the cool stuff you can do. So you can join the Beehive Club right there. So I'm on the Busy Bee site as we speak. Spring Breathe Easy, they got it going. Packages are huge savings, right? How about this? 1.5 to 3 ton unit per unit, regularly $1,500, now $999. That's huge. It's massive. Deep clean drain detox, only $999. Normally $1,600. Spring cleaning. We're talking to mainline jetter cleaning, free bioenzyme drain treatment, free camera inspection, all of that stuff rolled into one. These are little things that go on that you save big. And you see when you join the Beehive Club, it's even more than that. So whether you're having issues potentially with your HVAC or your plumbing, there's only one you should trust, and that's Busy Bee. When you do this, join the Beehive Club today. Tell them I sent you. Call 775-7833, 775-7833, or check out everything like I just showed you online at busybeehvac.com. I want you guys to check out Byrna right here in Nashville. Byrna Technologies is great. It's non-lethal technology, right? These launchers, they're amazing looking, and they're stoppers. But one of the great things about Byrna is you can go train. You can even train inside your house with this stuff. It's incredible. And at a time when life is getting more expensive, being able to train, everybody likes to go shoot, but that can get expensive. Byrna has a way to not only learn how, especially for some people who maybe are a little uncomfortable around guns and shooting, to learn how to train and be around stuff that makes you feel comfortable, and it is awesome. They're right here in Franklin, not too far away. I want you to call Byrna and go check out what they have to offer. It is awesome. Like I say, being able to go there and shoot 7 days a week at a price that is amazing, is incredible. Call 615-558-0534, 615-558-0534, or check out everything they do at Byrna, BYRNA.com. All right. By the way, Ken, you can transfer and play.
Okay.
So we're knowing this now. For those of you
all right
out there, you can go, you transfer, you can play. We're talking about football. Football, ladies and gentlemen. Little Keith Jackson over there. Around the outside they go. Football. Deportation Nation. That's what we're in. The battle of Mr. Garcia. And what is going on? Because quite frankly, I'm always confused about all this stuff. And it's not about, and I want everybody to understand, this is not about whether he is or isn't, should or shouldn't be. There's a bigger thing here. And we've got to recognize that. The Constitution, the due process, all that kind of stuff. Even if everybody thinks, well, because you give them due process, you're going to keep it. No, it's not about that. It's about cutting once? Oh, darn, now I got to measure again. Cut again? No, it's about measuring twice, 3 times, cutting once, and getting it right as well.
On TV, administration officials have made stark claims.
He's part of a foreign terrorist organization. Trafficking in his background.
We will not apologize for getting these monsters the hell out of our country.
But the evidence in court is scant. His family calls Kilmar Abrego Garcia a hard-working sheet metal apprentice. In 2019, an immigration judge protected him from being sent back to El Salvador, a move that allowed him to legally work. The federal judge who's now ordered that the government facilitate his return calls the allegations of gang membership vague and uncorroborated. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
And that's what I want. I want straightforward honesty in all of this stuff. I'm not looking for, I don't want a game. Tell me exactly what he did, why you're get him out of here. Fine. The big thing about this, and it's funny, I did a video. You guys can check out, I do videos every single night, right around 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock here. But some people are like, well, he's an American citizen. What'd you say?
I set my watch by those videos now.
Not.
Because if you'll go back and you'll look at your Instagram videos.
You do, actually.
I like your videos.
Bell likes my videos when he's not out doing nefarious things. The sports ball, by the way, somebody just texted Bell. Bell knows anything about sports. He goes, go sports ball team, Bell. Getting this guy, I don't know if he did or didn't do something. It's not the point. The point is there was an order from the court. And this is when people start screaming, constitutional crisis, this, that, and the other. What happens if he decides he doesn't want to listen to the, to SCOTUS, which I don't think is going to happen. And SCOTUS was trying to figure stuff out here. They kind of jacked the pooch, as I like to say, screwed up here. They were kind of vague in the way that they approached all of this thing with him about, like, well, you got to kind of try to get him back.
Well, first of all, the court did not do a particularly good job, the Supreme Court. In order to get to be 9-0, they had to compromise all over the place. So they said basically, look, the authority lies with the foreign policy of the United States. Court shouldn't interfere with that. If he's going to come back, you should facilitate it, but we're not going to have any deadlines. So the Trump administration, stretching the opinion in its favor, says, well, they didn't give us a deadline, and they didn't order him to be brought back. They said, facilitate it. He should be brought back. He should be given a hearing quickly on the issue of whether he has a legitimate claim of sanctuary, and then he should be sent back because he's not a U.S. citizen. Once you're not a U.S. citizen and you're here illegally, your rights are very, very constrained. This is not like the Khalil case where he's a green card. It's not even a student visa. Right. He may have a visa, but the question is, if he came illegally in the beginning, he has no right to stay here, except subject to the humanitarian claim that if he's sent back, the gangs are going to kill him. That's his claim.
Or whatever the claim. He said it was political. But either way, and somebody said, well, he had an order to be removed. Yes, he did. That was not in dispute. The order to be removed was never in dispute. The order, though, was specifically anywhere but El Salvador, and you sent him to the one place you weren't supposed to, and a judge you overrode. That is the issue here. There's no doubt. Like, he shouldn't have been here. He has to go. The question is, are you going to listen and pay attention to what is happening, or is it going to be slap hazard? And don't tell me you're going in there and you're like, he's all of these things, and he's not. That's the other thing that frustrates me. right? I want transparency. It's the thing that used to frustrate me all the time with a lot of the stuff. Even when, remember the stolen election, they would argue in front of the camera all this stuff, but then they would go into the courtroom and none of it was what they were saying outside. Be transparent. That's great. But do the right thing the right way. You don't have these issues.
This is a very simple case. If not for the fact that a judge had stayed his deportation on the ground that he had pending a claim of asylum. A claim of asylum, very simple. You can deport without any further due process anybody who's in the country illegally. This guy is in the country illegally. And if he didn't have a court order that said, wait a minute, you're here illegally, but you've made an application to stay here even though you're here illegally in order to avoid being sent back to El Salvador because you think you'll be killed in El Salvador. It's only that court order, technically, which is the mistake. And it is a mistake because they did violate a court order. But once he's given his asylum claim, and if that's denied, he can easily be deported because he's an illegal alien. It doesn't matter whether he's committed crimes or anything else. You have no right to stay in the country if you came into the country illegally.
That simple. There it is. But it goes back to this, and I say this over and over again. It is not about the whether he should or shouldn't be. You went over a court order and you sent him to the place that the court said you shouldn't send him. People say, well, if he's a gang member, no wonder he's worried. They're not arguing he's a gang. Some places are saying he's arguing he's a gang member. His was political. So either way, I'm just saying, measure twice, cut once. It's that simple. There you go. It shouldn't be this hard. There's an order. What did the order say? The court said no. And the Supreme Court, by the way, also said, look, you guys have to listen to what the lower courts say before it gets to us. Listen to what they say. Then you don't have these issues. Because let's be real, they're frustrating. They're ridiculous. We should be able to get rid of people that are here illegally, send them on their merry way, especially the worst first. It's that simple. I go back to do it right, and you don't have these issues. And I don't blame this all on Trump. I mean, you've got a lot of people, let's be real, you got a lot of people that are go-getters. They want to impress Trump, got to impress him, so he can send a bunch of people. But then this causes headaches that shouldn't happen. Jeffrey Tobin was asked if they think he's ever coming back.
What do you think the Supreme Court thinks about all this? What do you think the Chief Justice thinks when he sees this man not being returned?
I think they're very, very cautious, and they don't want a confrontation with the president. That's why the language is so cautious. But I think they want him returned.
Well, but I also think they do not want an international confrontation that they cause, and they will be very deferential. If El Salvador says we are simply not turning him over, I bet this Supreme Court will say, well, there's nothing that can be done in that case.
You don't think this man is coming back?
I don't think he's coming back, basically,
I'm still
ever.
hopeful.
You're still hopeful. Well, he's not. Who is that? Somebody this week said they're going to go there tomorrow if he's not on his way back. I think it was a senator or something. Good luck. Have fun. Heard El Salvador's beautiful. I've had several of you reach out to me and tell me how nice it is out there and how much fun. A couple buddies I know have gone surfing down there and says it's incredible. So have fun, Mr. Person heading out there. I want to get to the health thing, but I think it's going to take a little bit longer because I think it's an important thing that, I like talking about stuff like this because this is life. And health is important. And the thing that they're talking about is important. Just like today. I mean, what are we doing? Like we're banning, all kinds of stuff in the first executive order, including things. This is Mike Braun, who is the governor of Indiana.
Today's first executive order removes candy and soft drinks from taxpayer-funded SNAP benefits.
I have zero problems with that. We have it, but... what's crazy is our poor have an obese epidemic. When the rest of the globe, they're poor, they're hungry. Ours are like, I can't see my feet.
We're taking on big issues like diet-related chronic illness. How often do you hear about it? Nothing happens. Children's fitness in our own schools and harmful additives in our food.
The additives in the food is You don't really, like, I'm sitting here and I'm drinking one of these energy drinks, which, by the way, I enjoy. But you start looking through, and some of these things, they have like cyanide. Like, that's not a healthy dose of, I didn't know there was a healthy dose of cyanide. And you start looking, you're like, what is half of this stuff in here? It's insane. 1% hyperzine, phosphorate, hydrochloride, methyl. You're like, that sounds like something that you would take from a doctor. Do you got the methylized chlorophine?
Healthy children should not die of measles, and there's no reason they should. If the doctors know how to treat at the hospital, that will not happen.
That right there is Robert Kennedy talking about the measles outbreak, which is growing. If you go look at the numbers, and this just goes to show you also how they're trying to paint the picture that he's just somehow super anti-vaxxer. If you look at the numbers, I think might even have been under Trump. There was a year there was like 12,000 kids people who had the measles. So think about that. We're at 700, 800, and it'll spread fast. It will. That being said, the insanity of which they push that, well, because he's here and he's an anti-vaxxer, somehow he's managed to spread this on his own.
It's a leaky vaccine, and that problem is always going to be around. We need to also make sure that doctors know how to treat measles and how to treat the associated diseases, the pulmonary disease that often come with them, and bacteriological.
My kids are vaccinated, but we did it over a time period that I didn't want to give them like 15 shots in one day, whatever they're doing now. I'm like breaking it up. It's okay. Even now with my kids, it's okay to not have antibiotics for everything. Scrape your knee, here's antibiotics. No.
Hurt your toe, here's some opioids.
Yeah, it's like really, like they're handing you stuff like it's candy. And you're like, no. It's good to build up some of that stuff. It's good because, one of the things I worry about in the future is those funguses and some of those things where they just become resistant to all that stuff because we've pumped ourselves full of it. And that's not a good thing. Coming up, we are going to talk more health. What are the two things, like really the two big things that'll keep you alive longer? It's interesting. As for all the other stuff, yeah, some of it's genes, but I'm talking about things that most people don't even think about. And it's not about the healthy living and stuff. It is something that is simple and easy, yet in a way kind of hard. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Birch gold. Gold's important in times when things are unsteady. We're maybe going to have a much longer, more prolonged trade battle going on with China. Uncertainty globally with a bunch of other conflicts. Where does smart money head? It heads to gold. And Birch is going to help you with your needs. They're the company I go to. I love them. They're incredible. Text the word Benson to 989898 today, and Birch is going to send you out an info kit. I buy my gold from them. My family does as well. And it's just a good way to diversify, to make sure that your stuff that you work for, your portfolio, the things that you've built up in your life, have that protection in the just-in-case scenario. Things go a little sideways. Recession, inflation, trade wars, things like that. Gold's a great place to have your money. They'll show you how you can move your IRA or 401k over as well at no cost to you. Text the word Benson now for Birch Gold to 989898. That's the word Benson to 989898 today to get your info kit from our good friends over at Birch Gold.
The battle over to return or leave Kilmar Abrego Garcia where he is will be in a Maryland courtroom today. This story and more at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Keep you healthy. Let me tell you something. We like talking about things like this because it's good. And there are some things out there that no matter what, you think, if I do this, I do that. It's great. And it is. It helps. But there are a few things, 2 things in particular, for longevity. Scary Breke, he's he's like a biochemist, superhuman studyist, wants to keep you alive forever guy. Talking about this the other day with Rogan.
2 things that were non-interchangeable were sense of purpose and community and activity until later in life. So you didn't have any of the blue zones where people didn't feel a sense of purpose and community in life. In fact, there were no such things as assisted care living facilities. The assisted care in those countries as mom and dad move back in with the kids until the day that they till the day that they die. And there's a lot to be said for that because maybe grandma's only purpose is to go out and get vegetables for dinner that night, but she has a purpose.
And she's a part of the community.
And she's also
not locked up in a home with a bunch of people who don't really care about her.
How true is that? A sense of community, but also purpose. When you don't feel that you have purpose, things go sideways. You kind of give up. And that sense of purpose is like incredible. And we here in this country, let's be real, it's just easier to stick grandma in a home, unless it's too expensive, and lock her away and then come by and see her when you have a chance, or if the end is nigh. That's kind of true. Now, comes a point in time where maybe you have to farm out a certain thing because grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, it gets a little too much. You don't have the medical capabilities for it. They're too sick for you to handle. But that sense of purpose, though, even if grandma's going out to do 1 or 2 things, it gives her a sense that she's part of the team, which gives her meaning and reason.
We knew something in the mortality space because I used to study mortality and mortality research. And we knew that if you wanted to cut somebody's life expectancy in half at any age, and I mean at any age, you put them in isolation. So as soon as you create isolation, you dramatically reduce, if not half, the life expectancy. Now, later in life, we would call this broken heart syndrome, caregiver syndrome, and these were actually very valid syndromes. So if we actually were doing the life expectancy on an elderly spouse who was still applying for insurance, or we were looking at what's called a second to die claim on life insurance policy, and one spouse had passed away, we would dramatically reduce the life expectancy of the second spouse.
They don't feel like they have anything to live for. And there's some people out there that feel like, hey, I'm going to go on, I'm going to live, I'm going to take my wife's grandmother. She has outlived a couple husbands and several boyfriends, and she just lives life. She's like 95. She line dances, she drives. You would think she's 65.
Good for her.
Right? She's living her life and having fun doing it. And that's awesome. But she smokes, she drinks. There's like, she does all the things you're not supposed to do, but she feels like she has purpose and wants to live.
And the reason why that's important is I think that people don't realize that we are actually being isolated in plain sight, right? I mean, we are trying to create connection through our phones. We're trying to create connection through social media. And these are not human connections. In fact, if you look at the rates of depression, suicidal ideation, obesity, chronic mental illness. And I think we actually have a chronic lack of mental fitness, not necessarily a mental illness crisis in this country. And if you look at the skyrocketing rates of these conditions and how they are creeping into younger and younger and younger generations, you got 9-year-olds being treated for depression now.
That's just nuts. And we are more connected than ever before.
We're more connected, but more disconnected at the same time.
Further apart. They go on to talk about the fact that we don't have that community side where, the Saturday pancakes or the block parties or the knowing your neighbors. And one of the things I was joking with Bell, he's like making fun of pickleball earlier, but why pickleball has thrived is because it is a sense of community and it's easy to make friends. You go out, you put your paddle out, you start playing. It's kind of everybody's at a certain level. It is a great social aspect to the game. That, I was watching Andre Agassi talk about this. He goes, I'm 55. I don't make friends easy. I go out and play pickleball. I got 20 new friends. People want to hang out with me, not because I'm Andre Agassi, but because it's just a sense of something. We just don't have that. We're super connected, yet zero physical connection.
I just had a mental image of Agassi serving up a 90-mile-an-hour pickleball.
He doesn't, but I'll tell you one thing. He's pretty damn good. There's no doubt about that.
I bet you he is.
He is. Remember, you can't serve it overhand. You got to serve it underhand. But once the game gets going, him and his wife pretty good. You know, his son is a big-time baseball player.
Oh, really?
Yeah, him and Agassi, him and Steffi's kids he's gonna pitch for Germany in the World Baseball Classic.
Well, I'll be.
Yeah, how about those apples that are apples? Coming up, hour number 2 of the program, and again at 2 o'clock next hour, Jason Whitlock's going to join the program as well. A lot of stuff still to get to. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. In the battle over Kilmar Abrego Garcia will be in a Maryland courtroom today. The same judge who ruled he be returned after the Trump administration deported him back to his home country of El Salvador is holding that hearing today. Here's Andrew Dembert.
A hearing in federal court today on Abrego Garcia's case could determine the next steps. We've reported for days now that the Trump administration acknowledged Abrego Garcia's deportation was a mistake. Trump advisor Stephen Miller says it was a clerical error made by a Democrat in the Justice Department.
And what can the judge do, Terry Moran?
She can hold the individual lawyers from the Department of Justice in contempt of court. Courts do have contempt powers. She could fine them day by day. She could put them in jail if they continue not to obey the order as she sees it. That would appeal and get to the Supreme Court again.
Here in Middle Tennessee, Fox 17 says new data shows immigration enforcement is on the rise in Davidson County. Sharp increase in the number of detainees transferred to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody. Data showing 56 people released to ICE from the sheriff's office last month, the highest monthly total in over a year. And former President Obama praising Harvard University for defying Trump administration demands and says he hopes other universities do the same. Matt Gutman says it comes a day after Harvard was stripped of $2 billion in federal funding by the Trump administration's Joint Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism, which demanded Harvard get rid of DEI hiring and admissions practices and limit campus activism in the wake of harassment of Jewish students during the Gaza war protests.
The administration ordering the school to report foreign students who commit conduct violations to federal authorities, submit to an audit to ensure academic departments have diverse viewpoints, and all DEI programs share hiring data with the administration, and submit to an audit of admissions data. The administration also calling for the correction of what it calls anti-Semitism on campus, an issue which Harvard says it has already taken steps to address.
Well, you may not get your real ID in time. Fox 17 says printing problems delayed production. And here in Tennessee, the issue has been resolved. Tennesseans now projected to get their physical license within 20 business days. But if you don't get it by the May 7th deadline, officials say the receipt you get at a driver services center or from a driver services self-service kiosk will serve as an interim ID. And in the fight against obesity, the company Pfizer's daily weight loss pill that was in development has suffered a major setback.
Pfizer was hoping to bring the first weight loss pill to the market as weight loss injections have skyrocketed in popularity. The company's once daily GLP-1 pill is now officially scrapped, but Pfizer is not out of the race just yet, saying that while disappointed, we remain committed to evaluating and advancing promising programs in an effort to bring innovative new medicines to patients.
That's Lionel Moise and the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
yeah. This guy makes an interesting point. TikTok right now is very much full of China and their nationalists pushing stuff out there. So what one guy had to say, who's in China.
Hello from China. Let me show you the United States products in my home. Nothing. Do you have something from China in your home?
Yes. Yes, I do. By the way, everything that you're probably using, we came up with, you guys stole. You should say, did we steal anything that we might have turned into, I don't know, your stuff? Mr. Guy? But it is interesting to watch all of these. They're telling you how to get around the tariffs. And China is willing to go to the mat for their country, as would I expect our country to do as well.
How to ship goods from China to the U.S. is very simple. You can log into GoNest to obtain your warehouse address in China. Just instruct your supplier to ship the goods to the address. Next, we will inspect the goods, handle custom duties, and provide door-to-door delivery service from China to anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world, they'll do that.
That's capitalism right there,
That
baby.
is. They're figuring out how to work it, and they're playing the game. Understandable. They're trying because while China can withstand some, not all, the reality is there's a lot of stuff out there that they're going to have trouble with. What does my friend have to say about it?
No more kissing China's ass. I'm never working for a company that's regulated by a communist government.
Okay. No more selling to the Chinese.
Then say it. Say F the Chinese government.
Chinese government.
I didn't hear you.
F the Chinese government. There.
Tally. Yeah, that's right. No more integrity to them. I'll tell you that right now. They are. It's you know what? It's funny because this is a trade war. Like other trade wars, you don't really have this. This trade war, we get to participate in the trade war stuff, meaning we've got our opportunity to go online and talk about all the cool stuff that's going on. They're exposing a lot of stuff, which I find to be kind of funny, but it is everywhere. Like they're showing you how to get around all of their tariffs so you can buy directly, skip Amazon and all that kind of stuff.
Right now, the Chinese manufacturers are the best content on TikTok. They said, oh, tariffs, you say. Oh, okay. American people, y'all said y'all like New Balance, Adidas, Nike, bet. Oh, yeah. The manufacturer is such and such, located at such and such in Guangzhou. They do shipping within this time, and here are the products. I've seen the manufacturers for every brand anybody could possibly think of, from shoes and apparel to beauty products.
Ooh, get them cheap. Get them cheap. One thing, though, is they're also exposing like how some of the stuff is made and how you spend a lot of money on certain things to find out it's really not. It's made almost identically the same place. They're going in like Balenciaga and stuff that charge you $40,000 for a bag. They're cutting other stuff right there for cheaper goods. It's wild. Speaking of wild, Harvard versus Trump. Are you guys ready for it?
Major clash is now unfolding between President Trump and his battle against some of America's top universities, announcing this evening more than $2.2 billion in federal funding has been frozen for multi-year grants and contracts at Harvard. That comes after Harvard said tonight that it was rejecting a list of demands from the administration on sweeping changes and would fight back against them. Those demands came from a federal task force that the administration says is combating anti-Semitism on college campuses following protests against the war in Gaza. But the list of demands included things like dismantling diversity initiatives, auditing academic and hiring practices, and also installing leaders who are committed, the White House said, to implementing the changes they want to see.
This is going to be a battle. This is, again, going to court because that's where everything lives nowadays is in court. And this is the way this will play out. They're going to go to a lower court because everybody judge shops, right? Yes, the Republicans do too. I hate to tell you. There's a reason that everybody that they grab, that they think, oh, you said something about Israel or you're here, whatever, and they take you to Louisiana because there's a judge there ready to rubber stamp you out of here. And they'll go do the same thing, Harvard. They'll get a judge that is sympathetic in their views and who views the law the way that they think it should be. And what's going to end up happening is this will eventually get appealed to the Supreme Court. Now, I did the hard work today, so you guys don't have to. I didn't even ask Bell to do it because, he's a meanie. And last year, they got about $686 million, Harvard did. Out of that, $33 million went to the classroom. The rest of it was all research. So the research side of stuff this is going to be where the battle's going to be. The classroom, and I've said Harvard and all of these colleges, for the most part, you did this to yourself, though, for years. Did you not expect at some point in time somebody was going to come in and say, this has gone way too far? You did this to yourself by allowing one point of view on campus, by allowing a system where you quieted a lot of voices. I mean, go see FIRE. If you guys know, that's an organization that looks and see what free speech is like on campuses. Like Harvard, like most of these Ivy Leagues, they're close to zero when it comes to free speech on campuses, unless it's the speech, of course, they like.
We saw a response from Harvard tonight, and the legal team responding to that saying, quote, the university will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. Neither Harvard nor any other private university can allow itself to be taken over by the federal government. Now, Harvard's $9 billion that's at stake here is just a fraction of the billions that the Trump administration has been targeting at schools across the country. Harvard's decision, though, appears to be the first time that we have seen a school directly refusing to comply.
And this is where the battle is going to really start to shape up. And the thing that drives me crazy, I don't want any part of government coming in and telling schools, hey, we don't want you to do this. We don't want you to do that. We don't want that. They can obviously set some rules, certain things. I get it. But trying to set the curriculum and things like that, or set certain things, they want monitors in certain areas. I don't want any of that. But we can ask questions. And there are certain things that, should be asked. Right? And that goes both ways, because what groups are pushing the Trump side of things for all these students? Because there is a group out there, for those of you who don't know, who have essentially a list of people that they want kicked out of the country. They also have a list of Jewish students who they want to make sure that Israel has a list to not let them in. And it is an interesting thing. They're called Batar. They've been around for 100 years. In fact, this group, they're very Zionist. This group is at the point where they go, the ADL's like, you guys are a little bit much even for us. So I think there's a fair question to ask all around. But when it comes to our money, first of all, you have $54 billion. And the research, by the way, the government gets a lot of that research. If they come up with something awesome, everybody's profiting, but the government gets the opportunity to grab a hold of some of these things. So it's not like they're just handing them money and nothing comes of it. But when it comes to the Jewish students, their biggest sin in this is they're white. Now, Judaism's a race. Jews, they're race, right? Like I'm part Jew, right? It's supposed to be a race. I'm a cracker. I look like a cracker.
Hey, we use honky in the state.
Honky, right? Like you look and you think, you're just a cracker. If they were any other group, if they were black, if they were a woman, if they were part of the LGBTQ+, if they were Latino or outside of Asian, because Asian's also now been put as part of that white supremacy group. But you get where I'm going with this. If this was any other group, this is what we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But the conversation is being had, and now it's going to go to the courts. And I expect this thing to be battled out for the coming weeks and months as they go back and forth until eventually the Supreme Court goes, all right, we'll take a look at this. We'll take a look at this and see what happens from there. It's a shame that everything nowadays has to be sorted out in court, which drives, I think, a lot of us crazy. I don't know what time the hearing is. I think it's in a little while. when it comes to this cat that, that we're fighting over. And even you, it's like you can't mention anything. And Bell, you see this like on here. It's like, you know what I mean? They get due process? Well, then they get to carry guns. You're like, what? How do you jump to that conclusion?
Well, everybody has a right to self-defense if it's legit self-defense.
It is. But you see where I'm going. It's like, well, they're here
Absolutely,
illegally.
I do.
No, it's not. It's just about the conversation of should there be due process? You're here illegally. Let's not send you back by just kicking you across the border or sending you somewhere going, let's get all the paperwork done. All right, da-da-da-da. We're going to dot the I. We're going to cross the T, stamp it. You're on your way. As opposed to, I didn't get my due process.
Every corner we let government cut will eventually be cut on our behalf.
Yeah.
And we don't want a government that's that powerful.
No, we don't. We do not want a government that's that powerful. No, no, no.
On TV, administration officials have made stark claims.
He's part of a foreign terrorist organization, trafficking in his background.
We will not apologize for getting these monsters the hell out of our country.
But the evidence in court is scant. His family calls Kilmar Abrego Garcia a hardworking sheet metal apprentice. In 2019, an immigration judge protected him from being sent back to El Salvador, a move that allowed him to legally work. The federal judge who's now ordered that the government facilitate his return calls the allegations of gang membership vague and uncorroborated.
Vague. It's also what the Supreme Court did. What they did is they gave the government a vague, hey, you got to go get this guy or at least try. What do you mean try? What do you mean try? Like, yeah, make an effort. Is it like a 100% certain we have to give him back? No. And part of that is because one of the things that the Supreme Court didn't want to do was one of the things that Trump and every president has is it's a foreign issue, right? Foreign affairs. Those things, Supreme Court doesn't really get involved with. They don't want to tell him how to do that. And Trump understands that if this guy comes back, this is going to open up a can of litigation that it's going to be like you open it up. It's just, oh, here comes another one. Here comes another one. And he's already got enough of that. I don't know if he's ever coming back. I don't know what that looks like. Apparently somebody's going down there to try to secure his release. I don't even know how that happens. It's insane that you would try to do that. The Democrats, this is the hill you guys want to die upon. There's better ways of fighting this argument if you want to have it about due process and doing it right without seeming like you don't care about, the mess that you got everybody in because you allowed the last guy who didn't know where he was to let everybody in the world in here wanted to come here. So that's kind of on your watch, your mess. Coming up, a lot of stuff. I love the voter outrage at town hall. Somebody yelled at Chuck Grassley. I hope they didn't do it too loud. He's older is what I'm trying to say. Might have scared him. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com, vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this incredible stuff packed into an awesome supplement that you give your dog. And we have some for your cats too, but right now they're doing a 90-day challenge with your dog. So over 90 days, one scoop a day, live enzymes. It's going to help bring your dog's food to life. You don't have to change anything with your dog's food. First 30 days, shinier coat, more energy, dogs can run around. Day 60, immune systems improve. Mobility in their joints. Coats fuller, thicker. It's amazing. By day 90, the heart health is incredible. The digestive tract's incredible. The immunity's strong. The coat is amazing. It's like a new pup. Try a Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens. Not going to cost you anything but shipping. It's a $20 value. And take the 90-day challenge with Rough Greens. You don't have to change anything with your dog's diet. Just a scoop a day and watch what happens. ruffgreens.com. Use my code CHAD. ruffgreens.com, code CHAD.
More layers of safety at schools in Nashville. We'll tell you about that and other top stories at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
How many illegal criminals are you planning on exporting to El Salvador? And President Bukele, how many are you willing to take from the U.S.?
As many as possible. I'd like to go a step further. I mean, I said it to Pam. I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways, that hit elderly ladies on the back of the head with a baseball bat, that are absolute monsters. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but you'll have to be looking at the laws on that, Steve, okay?
Yeah. Hey, Steve, can you look at those laws? Check that out for us. Make sure that we can ship. No, you can't. There's no way you could. Hey, we'd like to get rid of you if that's possible. Maybe you did something here that's horrible and bad, and we'd like to ship you somewhere else. No, you can't. You can't deport. You can't even deport dual citizens. So, and the thought now is like, well, we'll try to strip them of this if they're naturalized or what. He says a lot of stuff for shock value, and a lot of people react to it.
Jeffrey, we did hear the president on that hot mic saying that he wants to send U.S. citizens to El Salvador, urging the president to build a bunch of extra prisons there. Remotely constitutional?
Not as far as I'm aware. You know, there are laws about how we punish people in this country. You know, Title 18 of the United States Code defines criminal laws in this country, defines the kinds of punishment, and there is not included in Title 18 send someone out of the country, much less to a hellhole prison in another country. It just doesn't exist, that authority.
What? So we just can't send them off somewhere else? No way. No, we can't. The thought that I saw people like, first of all, what it does is it gives the left the way to run around like a, chicken with their head cut off, screaming and yelling about how this is what they're doing. I got an email this morning. So I'm getting ready to do my national show. I get up extra early. I get an email this morning from, let's see if I can find it. Somebody here who, not going to mention the name, and who's basically said, you don't get it. He's going to send people out of here. This is what he is going to do. And I'm like, it's not. He said, so yesterday while talking with his third favorite dictator, Trump told homegrowns will be next. The POTUS is talking about deporting U.S. citizens. You people did this. You people. I don't know if I use that. It seems very racial. You people will be held responsible for the destruction of our country. Here's hoping today is the day that his fat ass strokes out, which seems very not nice. And I'm like, you reacted to it. That's what he wanted. It's not going to happen. It isn't. These things, that kind of stuff isn't going to happen. The fact that people think it is exactly what Trump counts on. But he said it. Of course he does. You know what you should care about, like in anything? Actions. Actions matter more than words. We've somehow replaced words with actions. I'm going to do this, but then how many times in life have you met somebody who says they're going to do all these things, yet they do none of them? But they're nice. They're okay, right? They say the things I like. And then there are people out there that maybe not as friendly, a little bit more prickly, yet whatever they say they're going to do, they do. And that's the only thing that matters. And if Trump tries to deport American citizens, I hope every one of you listening, whether you supported him or like because you love him or you held your breath and you voted for him, that you stand up and say, no, this is a bridge too far. Okay, come back. And I don't know, if he would try it. I think at times, I got to be honest with you, Trump comes across a little bit as a habitual line stepper.
A little bit.
I'm a habitual line stepper. That's a funny thing. But it's not happening. Actions are the only thing that matters. Actions. Talks about having a third term. He's not going to have a third term. Talks about, we're going to deport citizens. Really? Now, I'm not saying there couldn't be a mistake made. And I would like to think that immediately that would be sorted out. But the way they make it seem like it's just going to round up anybody, right? Like, anybody that they deem fit and just send them on their way. And everybody's going to be like, well, he's Trump. It's not going to happen. Not at all. Grab first of all, check us out across our social media. We're not on Rumble yet, but we could be soon. Twitter, Twitch. Never been to Twitch to check us out. I should go do that one day. We're also on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Go check out my YouTube at Chad Benson Show as well. Like and subscribe. And also, you can go check out our Facebook as well. And if you miss our show and you want to grab our podcast, we always say,
1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, more layers of safety at schools. 2 more schools, Academy at Old Hickory and Academy at Opry Mills, now have the Evolve weapons detection system. It uses artificial intelligence to identify potential weapons in bags or clothing, offering faster and more accurate screening than traditional metal detectors. President Trump pledging to fast-track chip giant NVIDIA supercomputer plans here in the U.S. This is Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
For the first time ever, chip-making giant NVIDIA will produce AI supercomputers entirely in the United States as part of its pledge to produce $50 billion worth of AI infrastructure in our country over the next 4 years.
NVIDIA's announcement brings big tech's investment pledges to U.S. AI infrastructure to just north of $1.6 trillion since Trump's inauguration. And there's another hearing in federal court in Maryland today over the fate of a Salvadoran man sent by the U.S. to a counter-terror prison in his native country. The action now returning to the original federal judge who ordered Kilmar Abrego Garcia brought back. ABC News senior national correspondent Terry Moran on what the judge can do.
She can hold the individual lawyers from the Department of Justice in contempt of court. Courts do have contempt powers. She could fine them day by day. She could put them in jail if they continue not to obey the order as she sees it. That would appeal and get to the Supreme Court again.
Eggflation has led to desperation. Now some people turning to decorating marshmallows and hiding them for Easter. Walmart selling a kit that includes food colorings, fine point decorating pins, tongs, and a 24-ounce bag of jumbo marshmallows, all for $1.99. The brand of marshmallows claims to have signature puffing technology, and unlike eggs, it won't stink up the house if you forget where you hid them. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
USS, United Structural Systems. The rain's come, could get a little bit more, but those little cracks, those little areas that maybe you think, through the hard winter and maybe some of the rain, did some stuff get in there? Has it affected maybe your crawl space? You got some standing water you don't know about? Are things going to become a real issue like wood rot, mold, things of that nature? You want to talk to our buddies over at USS. 30 years of experience in basement and crawl space, waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, and foundation repair. USS does it right. They are going to come out, not going to cost you anything, give you a free inspection. They're not going to sell you anything that you don't need. They're not one of those people that are like, oh, you've got to do this or else your house is going to fall apart. That's not who they are at USS. They're there to help. It's that simple. So I want you to do this. Don't let something become something way bigger than it should be as it snowballs. And all of a sudden, something small becomes something that's a nightmare. Call USS today, 615-488-7855, or check them out online at USSTN.com. Somebody wants to remind you, Ken, they thought back in their day of when they went over to Grandma's house and they couldn't find an egg from the year before, but they could smell it. It's gross. All of us have done that. If you've ever gone and you've ever, whether it's your kids, your grandma's house, you go, you hide those eggs, there's always that one egg that nobody finds until it's too late.
Yes, sir.
And it's disgusting. What are they doing with Peeps, which are gross? Peeps are disgusting.
It's marshmallows, man. They're giving, they're selling an egg coloring kit that can be used on marshmallows. So they're combining that with a big jumbo bag of marshmallows. A big 24-ounce bag of jumbo marshmallows come with food coloring, fine point decorating pens, and tongs.
Oh, so
what do you think about that?
Because of the egg-pocalypse that has taken place.
Yes.
And it is an egg-pocalypse. It is an egg-pocalypse.
Now you just need to get a chicken that lays marshmallows.
That'd be cool. I don't really like marshmallows.
You know what, dude? I sometimes I do, sometimes I no, like just to eat one without anything on it. No, I don't like that. But I do like it in hot chocolate.
Yeah,
but like to just have a bag of marshmallows.
No.
Have you ever known anybody who actually does?
No.
Like just reaches in like they're chips or something.
That's gross. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
what's wrong with you?
crazy.
Mentally ill? Is that what I'm seeing here? Mental illness?
Well, you can choke on them too.
Yes. I just even like s'mores, like it's the going out and roasting them that's fun. But at that point in time, I'd rather roast a hot dog and eat that.
I like doing both of those things. What I don't like after the s'mores is not having a wet wipe around to clean off the sticky from your hands.
Oh, God, it's gross.
And that drives me crazy.
It's like sap at that point in time.
I can't have stuff like that.
We went out last year to San Diego and for like a little mini vacation. And it was my whole family did. We were on the beach and they did the s'mores thing. And I'm like, I hate marshmallows. My daughter was very excited about it. But like, it's neat for a minute. And then you just want to eat the graham cracker or you want to eat the chocolate. You don't want the stupid marshmallow.
Yeah. Well, I have basically I've gotten to the point where I just take 2 pieces of chocolate and take the melted marshmallow off.
Somebody said I will crush a bag of marshmallows.
Some people do, man. Some people dig them.
Really? That is that's not a good thing. That's first sign of mental illness. Somebody said I won a marshmallow eating contest in the 6th grade. I hate marshmallows. I feel like you win it, but then a little bit, about an hour later, you lose it.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, on several levels.
Oh. Harvey Weinstein, he's still alive? Are prosecuting that guy?
Yeah, man,
I thought he had like a stroke and he doesn't know where he is and he has dementia.
Yeah, it could be. Apparently, he's being retried. Apparently, on some things.
Oh, he's being retried.
The dementia must be why he's keeps asking the guards to watch him shower.
You think? Is that it? Is that it?
Goodness.
Is that it? That's disgusting. That is disgusting. He is, he's gross. But I thought he had dementia and he had like a stroke and he had pneumonia and he wasn't, fit to stand trial
That's
anymore.
what I thought. Well, he was in a hospital or I guess
he was
in
on
a hospital.
death's door for a long time on several occasions.
Yeah, this is for his sex crimes retrial.
That's got to be. Would you? You know what? If you're a woman and you want justice, but you know he's never getting out of jail, the thought of going through that again might be something like he's never getting out of jail. So, do I want to put myself through that? If it's only you that's keeping him from freedom, that's a different story.
Yes.
But if he's doing, 50 years and there's no way for him to get out, you would have to think, do I want to put myself, my family through that again?
Yeah.
Scum. And they're all housed he's got like Diddy's there, right? You got Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried, Diddy, and Harvey Weinstein.
Wow, there's a trio of just ass hats.
Well, and the thing about these trials too, man, I mean, all of this is going to be rehashed again. All these really, and I'm not trying to be funny here, these dirty details
yes,
are all coming out again.
And that's if it was my wife and we had gone through it, and you're like, you would say, honey, I'm with you, but do you want to go through all this again? You don't have to. He's spending forever in jail. Those details are going to come out. Everybody knows how to. I mean, it goes back to Hollywood. It was the worst secret in Hollywood. How disgusting he was.
Yeah.
This
retrial is going to expected to last up to a month.
Man, how many people are?
3 women.
3 women.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is in New York, or is he in L.A. now?
This is in New York.
Yeah, because L.A., I remember that one. It was Gavin Newsom's partner. She was one of them.
Oh, really?
Because she was an actress or something. I mean, that was like to get through into certain things. Yeah, that was the way that women, Harvey treated women like that. And it was disgusting and vile. And what I've often wondered is how nobody took a shot at him. Like a boyfriend or a husband or a father or a brother always fascinates me.
Yeah, how he was never murdered.
Yeah.
Right?
And also, like, I look at his brother. You knew what was going on, dude. I mean, nobody stood up and say, you know what, man, you're going to go down, and you're gonna get it. You need to stop now. You need to apologize to everybody. You need to do everything you can to make amends. Nobody did, because of the power he had, and he had power. Power.
Yeah, his attorneys are claiming the public outcry has tainted any jury.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I was on the jury, the first thing I think is he's a scumbag.
And you would have to tell the judge that, too.
I would. I'd be like, he is an absolute wonderful person, an upstanding citizen who I think got a raw deal.
I have no idea who this fellow is.
I'd be like, I thought he was dead.
I love his movies, but he looks like he smells funny.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, one of these women say she was assaulted back in 2006.
Yeah.
So all of this is, years ago.
And he is still, and I know he still has outstanding stuff in California, and these aren't the only ones, but you would have to ask yourself to go through it again. Where's he getting the money either? I mean, he had to have spent just about every dime.
Well, he was worth a few $100 million.
Is that what he was worth at the end? Yeah. I don't know what he was worth at the end. Because I'm sure he had to pay a bunch of stuff out. I'm sure he hid a bunch of stuff, but it's just
he's probably, he's certainly not still that rich, but he had the money to dole out to lawyers.
Let's see what Harvey Weinstein's net worth pre-incarceration.
There you go.
Right now, as of 2025, he is worth, at one time he was worth $300 million, but he filed for bankruptcy. So they said he's worth a fraction of his former wealth. Good. Yeah, he looks a hot mess. I'm surprised nobody's took him out in prison. Just because, you're in there forever. Get yourself a Wikipedia.
Yeah, and rapists, especially child rapists, they don't do well in
they do not.
Prisons.
Should make them wear a special thing. I'm not saying that there is a target on your back. We put it on there special, is what I'm saying. Speaking of trials, what will happen with the Austin Metcalf trial? So yesterday, Carmelo Anthony was released. They knocked his bond down, and now the fight is on to find out what is going to happen, if there is even going to be a trial, because I think at some point in time, the more I hear about this, the more I think that they're going to plead this thing out at some point in time. This is a defense attorney who specializes in juries. His name is Mark O'Meara. He helped with the Zimmerman jury a long time ago, and juries matter.
Oh, no, it's definitely a consideration. It always is, whether it's sort of obvious what we're doing or the implicit one, because we all carry these implicit biases with us that perceive or impact how we perceive an event. Now, what's really it's going to come down to, and I disagree with the guy who said this is not a self-defense case yesterday, I think he said it. This is definitely a self-defense case, because it always is one until you look at the facts of the case and compare the two. You have to compare who was the initial aggressor? Was it an aggressive act for him to go up and say, get away from the tent? Did he do more than that? My understanding was maybe he touched him and put hands on him. Granted, that makes the decedent in this case maybe the initial aggressor. But you really still then have to look at whether or not Carmelo Anthony responded with appropriate force, he used a deadly weapon, and whether or not he was in imminent fear of great bodily injury. That's the standard in Texas and most every state, to determine whether or not his actions, the way he perceived him, the way Carmelo Anthony perceived him when he took out that knife and stabbed him.
And that's a big deal. His actions, what was said, is also a part of this. So you're claiming, because you're fearing for your life, and in fearing for my life, I have the right, in a state like Texas and many others, to defend myself by all means necessary.
The good part is if the decedent was the aggressor initially. The bad part for Carmelo, if in fact it's true that he sort of said, touch me and you'll see, because that's that aggression, that's that predisposition towards violence that doesn't have a place in a true self-defense case.
And what people are saying is they got into it under the tent that Carmelo shouldn't have been in, and why you're carrying a knife. Again, all those things are going to be debated there, but he supposedly, and this is he said, and I'm sure there's a few videos and stuff out there, he supposedly said, if you touch me, and that's when Austin said, you'll do what? I'll show you. Well, that means if you're saying that, there's where your defense goes. It's hard because you're saying, if you go and do something to me, you're going to pay the price. So you weren't in bodily harm. You could turn around and walked away. You weren't chased. You went into somebody else's place, and meaning that tent, and I think he was there for a second time. But there's no doubt that this is also now being seen through the lens of race, which is, as we all know, I would love it if we didn't. But in today's world, that's not the way it happens, especially with algorithms, likes, clicks, shares, etc.
This is all about who the jury is. This will all be determined by the jury. If the racial factors were reversed, if a white man had killed an unarmed black man, everybody would be on the reverse side of this. We live in a society where everything is judged by race. You know, the Bible says to judges and prosecutors, don't recognize people, just do abstract justice. We're way, way, way beyond that. If the racial elements were reversed there, virtually all the people who are calling for him to be acquitted would be calling for him to be convicted, and vice versa. Let's not kid ourselves. We live in a race-conscious society, and jury selection, which, of course, your other guest is so brilliant at and did so well in the Zimmerman case, is determine the outcome of this case, without a doubt.
Jury selection. And you got to, it's, when you think about that, we're at the point now where your defense and the prosecution, it comes down to, in some cases, not how good it is, how solid it is, just who you can get on the defense. I mean, the jury that will help you, because you know that worst case scenario is I'm going to get a hung jury. But more than likely, I'm going to be able to walk out of here with a win based on the jury. Even before you ever opened up your prosecution or defense of a trial. That's how important the jury is. A lot of stuff still to get to. I'm excited. Next hour, just a few minutes, Mr. Wilcock. We're going to have Jason Wilbon's going to join the program. We're going to talk about what's going on here. They got a big thing happening. Tucker Carlson, them. It's about men, which is important. Young men in particular, they're lost, and I think this is a really cool thing they're doing. He's going to join the program at the top of the hour. This is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Prize Picks is awesome. Takes about 60 seconds. You can get up and running, go download the Prize Picks app now. You're going up to 2,000 times your money. And right now, with the playoffs here, the great thing about Prize Picks, you'll have a chance when you enter, right, and you play your $5 lineup. Remember, use my code Chad. You get $50 on your first $5 lineup, win or lose. But you'll have a chance to get 2 tickets to the big championship of that big playoff. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The ship, baby. So this is what I want you to do. Every Tuesday, they got all kinds of great deals, but I want you to download the app and use my code Chad. When you do, you play a $5 lineup. Remember, this is above or below. So more or less. It's that simple. Do you think that LeBron will have more than 6 rebounds this game? Do you think that you can go across the sports, that Ohtani will have more than 1.5 hits? You choose above, below, and if you win big. But that first game, $5 lineup, you get $50 immediately, and you can win up to 2,000 times your money. So go download the app now. It's simple. It's easy. Use my code Chad. Get that $50 instantly. We play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be 21, present in Tennessee. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-426-2537.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt today was asked where Kilmar Abrego Garcia is going to end up. We'll tell you what she said coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ken, it wouldn't be a day if I didn't give you some fun with the youngsters.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me forever to get there. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, if I was able to walk to work, and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till, like, 6:15 earliest, and then, like, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, I'm so upset.
She's upset. Oh, God. She's not done, though. She's got to tell everybody.
Oh, my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just, like, the 9-to-5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, like, if it was remote, you get off at 5, and you're home, and everything's fine. But, like, I'm not home. It takes me long to get home, and, like, people that drive to the office, like, you don't get off at 5. And I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but, like, I literally get off, it's pitch black, like, I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like, how do you have time to, like, meet a guy? I don't know. Like, how do you have time for, like, dating? Like, I don't have time for anything, and I'm, like, so stressed out. Am I so dramatic? It's fine.
Yes, you are. Guys, can you get a ruling? Dramatic, yes?
Just annoyingly dramatic.
Yeah. I mean, look, she's
Life
young.
is tough. Put a helmet on, you nut.
She's young. When you're young, you maybe don't realize that when you go into college, you know, you set your schedule up the way you want. You do the things you kind of want. Well, I don't want to, Monday after a long weekend, I'm definitely not going to have a Monday morning class. Maybe Tuesday after, it's a little different part-time job. You get where I'm going. Business wants you there at certain times. So she's a little overwhelmed, and maybe she needs to take a deep breath and go from there. You want to know how you're going to get a man? Kind of hot. So that's a helper. Maybe not whine so much. Oh, Chad. And she's probably uber progressive. So that's going to not work out well for anybody.
Sounds pretty conservative to me, dude.
Yeah, she didn't sound like she was going to quit her job, though. She didn't sound like she was quitting her job. Like some of them, it's like, I worked 2 days. They wanted me to show up for a third day in a row, but I needed a mental health day. It wasn't one of those. She's just frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's life. That's what life is. It's frustrating.
And then I opened the mailbox, and there were these papers in there, and there was people were saying I owed them money, and I didn't know what to do with them.
Oh, God, what am I going to do? I don't know. They want me to send money in. I don't know if I can even do that.
It's too much.
Bills.
It is too much for a lot of people. Very much so. But the youngsters, you guys are learning, and that's a wonderful thing.
Yes, sir.
A lot of good stuff coming up. Third hour. Jason Whitlock's going to join the program. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. He's outside right now. He's giving handshakes to a bunch of people. He's going to come in earlier, but you know what? It's good. It's good. It's good. Because I want to talk about what they've got going on here. The roll call coming up. It's about men. We're going to discuss that. A lot of other stuff, too. I might even, ask him about a little bit about the wackiness of the NIL insanity that's going on in college sports. You don't know. But what I do know is we will be back coming up in a little bit. If you're missing the show, we say shame, grab the podcast. This is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Another hearing today in Maryland over deporting Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Garcia's lawyers contend the White House has taken no steps to comply with court orders to facilitate the man's release from a prison in El Salvador. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt today was asked where he's going to end up.
There is never going to be a world in which this is an individual who's going to live a peaceful life in Maryland because he is a foreign terrorist and a MS-13 gang member.
An immigration judge in 2019 found Abrego Garcia to be affiliated with MS-13, and top Trump advisor Stephen Miller says that voids the order barring him from being returned to El Salvador. Here in Middle Tennessee, Fox 17 says new data shows immigration enforcement on the rise in Davidson County. 56 people released to ICE from the Davidson County Sheriff's Office last month, the highest monthly total in over a year. ICE detainer requests also rising, 76 issued in March. Former President Obama praising Harvard University's defiance of Trump administration demands they stop DEI hiring and admissions and limit the kind of activism which the administration says led to harassment of Jewish students during Gaza war protests. Obama encouraging other universities to follow Harvard's example, but Harvard's losing $2 billion in federal funding for noncompliance.
In a scathing letter, the university's president blasting the administration for what he says is a violation of Harvard's First Amendment rights. Writing, no government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue.
More indirect talks between the U.S. and Iran set to happen within days. Here's Tom Sufi-Burridge.
Clearly, President Trump in the last 24 hours has doubled down on his threat, saying he would be willing to strike Iran's nuclear facilities if Iran does not step back, if a deal is not done. So the stakes are incredibly high going forward. But we've only just had the first round of talks. Next weekend is the second round of talks between the US and Iran in Oman. And I think it's highly significant that Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran has actually at least endorsed this process going forward.
And a wave of U.S. states committing to banning soda and candy from their food stamps program. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. today joining Indiana Governor Mike Braun as he signed a slew of Make Indiana Healthy Again executive orders.
Governor Braun is a really important partner in the MAHA movement, and a great leader, and I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah, Idaho, West Virginia, Arkansas joining in. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
We got issues in this country. We talk about it a lot, especially with men. Jason Whitlock in studio right now. I love this. So you got the Fearless Army roll call happening coming up in May, and I'm glad you're here because I'd heard Chris, you were on with Chris talking about this stuff, and I think this is absolutely so important.
And thank you for having me, Chad. It's great to meet you. What we're trying to do is inspire and encourage men. And the thing that I've figured out here in the last few months, I think a lot of people on the right or in the conservative space or in the evangelical space, I think we've taken a breath and are exhaling, kind of thinking, hey, we won the election, there's good news coming, and I think we've relaxed too much. There's still work to be done. And so the messaging of Roll Call, this is the third year of it, has been about, hey, men, we got to stand up and get involved in this culture war. We got to stand on our biblical values and get involved in this culture war. And what I'm figuring out is, like, people are exhaling and kind of feel relaxed. Trump's in office and he's done some executive orders, blah, blah, blah. And I'm trying to get men back together and get us to understand the fight's not over. The racial division and identity stuff that the left loves to promote, it's not over. It's actually intensifying. And so I want us to stand together as believers. And so, yeah, I'm very excited about Roll Call 3.0. It's this May 2nd and 3rd. On Friday, May 2nd, Tucker Carlson's going to be here with me. We'll be at 3rd and Lindsley for a VIP event on that Friday, May 2nd, start around, I think, 7 p.m. Randy Houser is going to perform for us. So we're going to have great country music, great conversation between Tucker Carlson and myself. And comedian Steve Byrne is going to open it up for us with a stand-up routine so it's going to be a great, fun evening for you, your wife and her friends or whatever. It's a great VIP event, and it's very affordable. This is Tucker Carlson, Randy Houser, Steve Byrne, myself. And if you go to our website right now, you can get tickets for that for as little as $100.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. And so what you need, though, is the promo code 997, and you get 50% off any of the tickets to the VIP events that we're having on Friday or Saturday. Saturday, we have the Roll Call event, myself and pastors from around the country, some musical entertainment from my friend Damian Horn and others, great speakers. It's a more inspirational day. That's only, use my promo code. You can get into that event for just $50. And then Saturday night, we have a post-roll call party at the home of Lee and Julie Beeman. It's going to kind of have a Tommy Bahama Beats-like theme, great music, the Duggar Band, Seth and Jordan Duggar, those guys that have the song True Colors, they'll be performing at their home. Get into that for $100. Actually, maybe 50 with the promo code 997. So I just want to encourage people because I figured out this year, like, the message needs to be a bit different. And so I'm actually taking the hit on this. And I say this without ego or complaint. We're giving you this opportunity to come socialize and gather with us and have a great weekend, you and your wife, you and your significant other, men. We're giving you this opportunity. I'm going to lose money on this deal because I just want people there. And I feel like we put together an awesome event. It's going to be inspiring. It's going to be encouraging. And I'm going to help you understand that those of us that are believers, those of us that want to see America righted and continue to move forward, we have to come together across these little racial differences and identity differences that they're using to divide us. And so that's what this is about. One of my good friends, Pastor Corey Brooks from out of Chicago, we went to college together at Ball State. He's the rooftop pastor. He's got a church in the heart of the inner city in Chicago. He spoke at the RNC, was one of the people that Trump and the team brought in to speak at the RNC. He's going to be here with some members of his congregation. This is going to be a great, entertaining. We're going to feed you. We're going to give you great music. We're going to inspire you. And you're going to be a part of participating in something that brings us together through our faith and through our beliefs, our values, very patriotic event. Just want you to participate. Go to fearlessrollcall.com right now. Use the promo code 997, 50% off all of our tickets.
I love what you're doing, and the reality is this isn't going anywhere. The wokeness, the wackiness. I mean, just Harvard the other day said, now we're going to sue you. We're going to take you guys on. This is a battle that isn't – the woke is – they're going to destroy their own, which is fine. But, men, I keep saying, we've devalued fathers, and you've talked about this. I've listened to you for years. You've talked about this. We've devalued fathers, first in the black home, in the black community, and the destruction there – is insane. I was watching a guy do an interview the other day. It was the most fascinating thing. He was talking about one of the guards that he met that kind of became his girlfriend, and he had a phone, and he was worried about getting caught, but he said, don't worry, because my cellie was my dad, who was in for double murder, and that's like the first time they'd kind of ever been together. And I thought to myself, we have so devalued fathers that this is... You want to find out where fatherlessness gets you and the devaluation of men in society? Go to a prison.
Chad, you've teed me up perfectly. I melt down about this issue virtually daily. No one wants to deal with the obvious consequences of the destruction of the nuclear family. And I talk about this constantly, like Black America has been the lab rats for the liberal agenda of destroying the nuclear family. And let's look honestly and boldly and transparently at the results of the destruction of the family. Our young men, they have no emotional control. Go look at it, and I've talked about this on my show, this Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf situation in Frisco, Texas. Black men have been programmed through prison culture and the spread of prison culture through rap music. They've been programmed. Anything they perceive as disrespectful requires an aggressive response, if not a violent response. And so Carmelo Anthony gets asked to move out of a tent where he doesn't belong, and he feels disrespected and feels he has to respond in an aggressive fashion. Oh, he put his hands on me, therefore I stab him in the heart. And so what happened to this 17-year-old suburban white kid, and it's a tragedy. And I only bring up race to say that what Austin Metcalf experienced goes on in Chicago and these urban areas every single day. Some young black boy that's caught up in this, what they call black culture, which is hip-hop culture, which is prison culture, they feel a tiny twinge of disrespect and say, I'm going to shoot or I'm going to turn violent towards this person. Most of the time, it only affects young black men in those urban areas. But that mentality is spreading out to our suburbs. That mentality and this destruction of the nuclear family, they want all ethnicities to experience this. And we're seeing the divorce rate and the lack of marriage rates in other demographics, including the white demographic, escalate. And eventually, once they tear down, they've already done it to the black family. 80% of these kids are being born to single mamas and in single-parent households. It's now let's move it on to the rest of the culture. And now let's poison all of culture that these rappers that are basic thugs, they promote a degenerate lifestyle. There are mainstream entertainers. We're platforming them at the Super Bowl and celebrating them as if they bring something positive to the culture. It's a nihilistic mindset that they want to impose on all of America. You can sit there in the comfort of your home or suburb and think, well, that's not really my problem. Trust me, they want it to be your problem, and they're trying to make it your problem. And that's why there's so much promotion of non-nuclear families, non-biblical families. I'm very biblical. There's only marriage between man and woman. And this whole redefining of marriage, it's unbiblical. You can't have marriage without God. God established marriage. It wasn't man. It's in the Bible. They're trying to destroy the nuclear family, get us all involved in relationships that don't produce family, don't properly develop young men or young girls, make sex or identity, sexual identity, gender identity, very fluid, where men look like women and women look like men and we're all the same. We're not all the same. We have to stay in this fight, and we can't allow to connect all the dots. We can't allow them to use fear of you being called racist. And so that's why they try to frame all these things they're doing as, well, this is black and you're being racist against black culture, because they want to shout you down and bully you down so that you don't speak against this stuff. And so I can't wait for myself. Tucker Carlson and I are friends, been friends for a long time. The conversation we're going to have Friday, May 2nd at the VIP event at 3rd and Lindsley is going to be amazing. It's going to be bold. You're going to hear me and Tucker Carlson talking about the things you talk about in the privacy of your home, but mainstream media doesn't talk about it. We're going to talk about it. That's why I desperately want you at this event. The 3rd and Lindsley is a very intimate setting. There's only room for about 400 people. On Saturday, we'll be at Rocket Town, and so we can invite more people in. But and Saturday night, Lee and Julie Beeman's estate, could probably fit all of Nashville in there. But this stuff is just very important, Chad.
It is, because I saw this lady the other day. She was brilliant. She was talking about the things that nobody wants to talk about, Jason. If you are married and you have a child, chances of them going to jail are virtually nil. If you're a single woman and you have a child, chances of your kid going to jail is exponentially greater. If you're a male and you have a child and you're a single father, the chances of them going to jail is the same as a married couple.
Boom.
And yet we have completely devalued men. I am a father first and foremost. All this other stuff I do in life is whatever it is. It matters most that I raise young men and women that are strong, that represent, God, but a real world take on what is happening out there, and to be strong out there. And we have lost our way where it's not important being a parent. I heard Ronan Chappell the other day say, all my friends who have kids are miserable. And, and then all of a sudden there's this debate online about, well, women, they're all coming out going, yeah, I don't really like my kid. It is miserable having kids. This is not a safe place, and a place that is great for our society moving forward.
Well, kids are in the most jeopardy when you remove a man from a home.
Absolutely.
And when mother and father aren't together, again, kids become more vulnerable because there's less supervision. We always love to talk about how the police engage with young people. Well, the first police officers should be called mama and daddy. And those are the people that need to be supervising, disciplining your kids, rather than worrying about when they leave the home and you're not around, how do they engage with police? What type of supervision are you providing them in your home? And to your point about male leadership is being demonized in America. We think the more we I'm a former college football player. My background is in sports media.
You sure you want a swimmer?
I made my name talking about sports. They've convinced us that, hey, if we just add more women to football, if we get more women coaching football, if we get more women involved in football, that's going to make things better. Because, and the other side of the message they're leaving out is because men are evil. They're toxically masculine. And it's just not true. We need more male leadership, not less.
I love it. Can you stick around for one more?
Absolutely. I can stick around for...
Oh, he's sticking around the whole time. I like that. Coming up, we got more. Jason Whitlock, we're going to talk about what's going on this weekend, but I want to ask you a couple different things about what's going on globally and how I think this is playing into, if we don't get our act together, we're going to be in some serious trouble. It is Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital, if you're worried about what's going on in the investment world, my buddy Zach, Chief Investment Officer at Bulwark's going to help you out. Guy's got it going on. He invests globally. It's not just about what's going on here. He wants to give you a second opinion on what's happening in your retirement account, in your investments, and he is with it. It's not going to cost you anything but a little bit of time. Call 866-779-RISK, 866-779-RISK. And when you do, he's going to go through your portfolio. He's going to show you what they do different, lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility, upside potential, active management of your account. And this guy's got it going on the right way. He really knows exactly what he's doing. He's not afraid to sit in cash well. He's not afraid to go and look around the globe and find the best thing for you and what it is that you're looking for. Call them today, get a free second opinion, or go to knowyourriskradio.com, KNOW, investment advisory service offered through Check Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investment involved risk, not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Check 24173.
All right, drivers, looks like a couple of crashes have popped up here. Police reporting 140 eastbound at Bellevue. That's exit 196. Then on the South Loop over here downtown, we got 40 westbound at 2nd Avenue. And what is going to become of Kilmar Abrego Garcia? We've got that top story and others at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A lot of people chiming in. Jason Whitlock is in here. He's got his event. It is May 2nd and 3rd. It's called Fearless Army Roll Call. It is happening here in Nashville. Women are texting in going, can women come to the event?
Absolutely. FearlessRollCall.com. Go there right now. Friday night's VIP event. Perfect for women, perfect for couples. Saturday night's VIP event at Lee and Julie Beeman's amazing estate and music from the Duggar Band and this Hawaiian theme or beach theme and great music. Perfect for women, perfect for couples. Saturday during the day is for men. We're going to make your man a better man, send him home to you to take you to, so when he takes you to the Saturday night party, he's a better man, he's inspired, we've got some direction in him. But yeah, go to fearlessrollcall.com right now. Use the promo code 997. You know what 997 means, don't you? Aren't you listening to 997?
That's right.
Use that promo code, 50% off any of our tickets. You can see me and Tucker Carlson and Randy Hauser Friday night. Your man can get all fired up and inspired by Pastor Alan Jackson out of World Outreach Church in Murfreesboro. We got E.W. Jackson coming in from Virginia. Great speaker. Set the place on fire last year. He's amazing. Corey Brooks, my former classmate at Ball State, spoke at the RNC this past year. He runs a mega church in the heart of the inner city in Chicago. Trump supporter, biblically based guy. Doug Wilson coming in from Moscow, Idaho, one of the great educational leaders in the Christian space. musical performance from Damian Horn and Tamara Conrad. These are great, valued events. FearlessRollCall.com, promo code 997 for 50% off any of your tickets.
Before we went to break, I lived in Europe for a decade, and I was telling my wife the other day, I said I wouldn't right now feel like I could even go to a place like the UK, first of all, because I've posted stuff I'm sure would get me in trouble. But it has become a different place, and this insanity of which I'm watching, I read a great article in Telegraph the other day about the great diversity chase that Sweden had that went completely wrong because it became about everybody come here and live the life the way that you used to live it. You don't have to come in and be a part of Sweden. It is fallen apart, and it is getting worse by the day. And I feel like we're running at that because our culture is not the rest of the world's culture. The Western culture is much different, and we better start paying attention to what is happening out there.
Chad, I'm going to say something really transparent, but I've been saying it for the last 3 years. The first step in defeating and making sure what's happened to the UK doesn't happen to us. And I'm saying this not to be divisive. I'm not saying this to be provocative. This has been my message. The first step in it, white men have to quit apologizing for being white men. White men have to quit apologizing for America's history because America's history by the leftists has been unpacked in an unfair way. And we have a terrific story in this country of how white evangelical men built a constitution and a country that made it possible to end slavery, made it possible for black Americans to push for freedom and make America live up to its best values, the values expressed in the Declaration of Independence, the values expressed in the Constitution. If there weren't white evangelical men that established this country, wrote that Declaration of Independence, wrote that Constitution, and if there weren't black men and women fighting for freedom that forced America to live up to those values in the Constitution and in the Declaration of Independence and in our Bill of Rights, America would have never become the greatest country in the history of the planet. Our story, yes, does our story have some tragedy and some oppression as a part of it? Yes. But our story here in America is about black and white people trying to have shared values, shared biblical values, and the freedom that produced and made us the envy of the world. We need to, as men in general, we need to quit apologizing for America's history. And we need to quit apologizing for being men and wanting to be leaders. And we need to stand up. And for those of us that have biblical values, we need to stand on what's in that scripture because we understand that Constitution was based on a biblical worldview and taken straight from the Bible. John Adams, one of our founding fathers, said, hey, this country and the way this Constitution was written was only for a righteous and faith-believing country. If we lose our righteousness, if we lose our faith in God, this country won't work for us. And so they're trying to take the country away from us, from those of us that have biblical values, believe and understand this Constitution, and have the proper perspective on what American greatness really looked like and how we got here. And quit apologizing. I'm just telling you, because they get you on your heels, and the next thing you know, you're afraid to stand on what you believe. I don't want to be called racist. I don't want to be called homophobic. I don't want to be called this. I don't want to be called that.
I don't care what people call me. I get called all. Yes, you know, man. You get called stuff all day long. I'm like, whatever. Every day I woke up to you're racist. Like, whatever. Yeah. All right, it's just a normal Tuesday for me. Jason Whitlock's in studio. Yes, I know I am. Thank you very much. Coming up, we got more of him talking about what's going on. It's exciting, and it's something that you should pay attention to. You men, you women, get your men, get your women, get everybody else, get him out there. We'll talk to him straight ahead. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we are looking at the possibility of rain over the next several days. We'll tell you just exactly how much that chance is coming up during the Full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now in Dallas, Texas, Alice Stone says there's been a shooting at a high school.
According to Dallas schools, police responded to a shooting at Wilmer Hutchins High School. Students could be seen coming out of the school. Police were outside with long guns. This student came out.
We're just in a foyer, a few students in there just talking. And all of a sudden it got quiet and you just hearing gunshots.
Police haven't said what led up to the shooting. Multiple ambulances responded to the high school.
More on the legal showdown over a deported Salvadoran man. During today's White House press briefing, Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked where Kilmar Abrego Garcia will wind up.
There is never going to be a world in which this is an individual who's going to live a peaceful life in Maryland because he is a foreign terrorist and a MS-13 gang member.
Now, the Trump administration contends Abrego Garcia is no longer eligible for withholding of removal status because of his alleged ties to the gang MS-13, which President Trump designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Harvey Weinstein back at a New York court today as jury selection begins for his retrial on sexual assault charges. New York's highest court overturned Weinstein's conviction in his 2020 trial, finding the judge had improperly allowed certain testimony from women whose accusations were not part of the criminal charges. Here's Aaron Katursky.
They are the witnesses whose complaints made up the criminal allegations that Weinstein is now being tried on. Jessica Mann and Miriam Haley had already testified. They were part of the first criminal case, and there's a new accuser whose identity has not yet been publicly revealed, who says that Weinstein sexually assaulted her in a Manhattan hotel back in 2006.
And just in time for Easter, more on the history of Peeps.
Originally, it took 27 hours to make a batch of Peeps, the familiar marshmallow Easter candy that now comes in a variety of colors. In 1950, Just Born Quality Confections came up with a way to speed up the process, and now they make them in less than 6 minutes at the same plant in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where they were first founded. How many Peeps are made a year? 2 billion. Roughly 6 Peeps for every man, woman, and child in the country.
At Sherry Preston and the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Retirement Ready Toolkit from Beacon Capital Management. Ready for you. Simple and easy, right? This is about your money, but it's also more than just your money with Beacon. What separates Beacon from everybody else, first of all, they're local. Secondly, it's about things like the things you don't think about, especially as you're getting towards retirement. It's not just about the numbers in your portfolio, but about tax planning. Tax day, it's a little bit of a nightmare. What about estate planning? As you get a little bit older, you got to start thinking about things like that, and healthcare, which can also become a bit of a nightmare. Let Beacon help you out with all of those things and get your Retirement Ready Toolkit for free from them. Doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time by making a phone call, 615-488-9303. Now, when you do, they're going to get you out a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. No pressure, none of that stuff. Let them show you what they can do that's more than just about your investments, but everything else. Call them today. Get your Retirement Ready Toolkit, 615-488-9303, or online at askbeaconnow.com. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this cool stuff for your dog. You want a new dog? No? How about making your old dog new again? So what I want you to do, once you go to ruffgreens.com, take the 90-day challenge, use my code Chad. They're going to get you out a free bag of Rough Greens if you love your animals. I love mine. You want them healthy and happy. This is going to help them with their coat, their aches and their pains and their joints. It's going to give them tons of energy. And it's a scoop a day. Is that it? And the $20 value bag's free. All you have to do is use my code Chad. And when you do, they ask you to cover the cost of shipping. That's it. It has helped my dog. It helped my older dog live an extra 7, 8 years. It was just amazing how much longer he lived, all by one little change. And that's the Rough Greens. Don't even change your dog's food. Try the 90-day challenge. Get a free Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens. Use my code Chad. You cover the cost of shipping, $20 value. They get it to you for free. Your dog's going to love the taste. You're going to love what it does for them. And it's going to save you on vet bills, which is always a win. Ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad. All right, here we go. Jason Whitlock in studio. You and I were talking in the middle of the break. We were talking about what's going on in Europe and the failure of Europe's multiculturalism, because multiculturalism doesn't work. We have a culture. And finish your point, because I think it's a brilliant point.
Well, the reason I'm telling men to quit apologizing, American men to quit apologizing, is because there's nothing wrong with any man or woman that's an American wanting people to enter into our country and assimilate to American culture, American values, the American way. Don't be ashamed. Don't be fearful of like, oh, no, because of diversity and multiculturalism, we need to let people come in and bring their values and their way of doing things from a foreign country and let them set up shop here in America. No, we shouldn't. And I want to, for those of you that have never seen me, don't know who I am, I just want to give you a brief description. Most people, when they see me, they're like, is that Denzel Washington?
They do.
And so I get stopped on the street all the time. People think I'm Denzel Washington. So I just want to be crystal clear that I look like Denzel Washington, and I don't know what I sound like. I probably sound like Jason Whitlock, a fat black guy, but I look like Denzel Washington. And so when I'm telling you not to be ashamed, I know exactly what I'm doing. And there's a justification and a reason for it, because I've seen men bend at the threat of being called racist, and now they back away and think, well, in order for America to be successful, I need to be welcoming and tolerant of values that are anti-American.
Yeah.
And we can't do that. We can't allow that. This is the greatest country in the history of the planet, and as it relates to people like me that have more melanin and look like Denzel Washington, America is the safest place on the earth for black people. It's the most prosperous place on the earth for black people. It's the most opportunity-rich place on the earth for black people. And so all this complaining, America's this, and so no one wants to go anywhere. No one ever picks up and leaves and moves to this other country because they know it's not as good as America, and the values that our founding fathers put into place and built this country, everybody in their real mind knows that it works. We're looking at leftists and Marxists try to undermine American values and create a very divided country that's easier to fall, easier to manipulate, easier to fall into chaos, easier to impose a culture that's destructive, anti-family, anti-children, less safe for children. Children are more vulnerable. And if we as Americans don't realize like what we have and what they establish is worth preserving and worth making people uncomfortable by saying, hey, man, you can come in this country, but you're going to be American. You're going to adopt. We love free speech over here. We're not giving it up to make someone else's feelings not get hurt.
Amen.
We got thick enough skin, and those of us with a biblical worldview is like, I don't know if people realize this, but black Christians in the 1860s, they had a newspaper, and they coined the phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. That came from a black Christian newspaper, that saying and fly. And it was because black Christians used to fully understand only God's opinion of me matters. So I couldn't care less what some bigoted person thinks about me. because it doesn't matter. Only God's opinion of me matters. And so unless you're throwing sticks and stones at me, I don't care what you call me. As we become more secular and move away from that worldview, and the Marxists come in and say, oh, microaggressions. Oh, you experienced a microaggression, and you must respond to that very aggressively and emotionally. We got to cut it out. We got to get back to what made America great. Male leadership, male innovation, proper roles between men and women. Men invented flying, the Wright brothers. It wasn't the Wright sisters. Men took sticks of dynamites and blew holes through mountains so that we could have paid roles and travel these places. And I'm not saying women played their role, and women are very important. You can't have life without women. You can't replenish the earth without women. Women are awesome. But we're kidding ourselves, pretending like men have been this incredible evil force against all of humanity, and we owe women this great debt. We don't. Our lifespans are shorter than women because we take all or most of the risks. We sacrifice our lives to protect women and children. Chad, I think there's a stat that 83% of the women on the Titanic survived and only 17% of the men did. And that's because men chose death to protect women. And so that's the 1913, 1912s, when men were in their proper mindset and we knew what our job was. And then they put up a picture of people fleeing Afghanistan when we pulled out of Afghanistan, and there were a bunch of men on the plane, and you could see women and children chasing after them. And it's like, this is how far men have gotten out of our role. We don't understand it's our job to sacrifice for men and women. That's our role in life. That's what the Bible, Jesus' sacrifice, is all about. That's what the 12 disciples are all about. We've moved away from that, and now women are trying to step up in man's role, and because they have a womb and carry a baby, and they're always going to choose safety over freedom.
You know, there's a great report out, and it's about the nature of man and woman, and it was incredible. We talked about it here. When a couple has a child and the child wakes up at night, the woman's response from hearing the child is immediately to pop up. It's the nature response. It is. Most often, a man will sleep through that. A woman will sleep through the night when there's rustling outside, even if it is leaves. A man, in his nature response, is to wake up immediately because there is a threat of danger potentially, and the natural instinct is, I must protect.
Let me tell you how backwards, and yet I just gave you one example of how backwards the world is. I'm going to go straight to the news cycle from 3-4 years ago, and I've tried to explain this to people. The Breonna Taylor story out of Louisville, the woman that got killed during the drug bust, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, y'all got the wrong narrative on this. She's in bed with her alleged boyfriend. They hear noise at the door. So the first thing I do as a man is say, baby, you stay here. I'm going to go see what the trouble is at the door. Me and my woman don't jump up out of bed and go to the door together. And so I'm like, y'all can blame the police, but this idiot let him and his woman walk to the door. Then he fired a shot at the police, and they fired back. Any real man, baby, you sit right here. There's banging at the door. I'll go address it. But because things are so backwards and men have been so emasculated and women have been made to believe that they're just like men, that everybody just did everything wrong. If that man had went to the door by himself, maybe he would have got shot if he's an idiot and is going to shoot at a cop. Or maybe he wouldn't have been trying to either impress this woman or whatever he was. But because his mind has been brainwashed and he let him and his woman walk to the door together, and he got this woman killed. He fired the first shot. He let her go out there and help him address this situation. It's all unmanly. That should have been the story, not that the police responded to a policeman getting shot in the leg and then shot back. What are you going to do? You ever been shot at? Yeah. You're going to fire back.
Well, we were talking last week. It was the bass player from Weezer. His wife shot at the cops. They shot back. What do you expect? They were saying, hey, don't. Of course you're going to shoot back. What are you doing? I mean, he wasn't there. She was, and she thought she was protecting the neighborhood or whatever. Who knows what? But still, it's an odd situation. Let's talk about women's sports. The quicker that men get into women's sports, isn't it going to be better for all of us, Jason? I mean, come on. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but let's just be honest. If the WNBA was the NBA, we'd be watching the WNBA as well.
Look, the WNBA has something great with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And has a chance to build some credit. But they're going to blow it because they want to be a league that promotes, just keeping it real, angry lesbians who feel that they're underpaid. They want to lead with that. Rather than, hey, we got an exciting basketball player in Caitlin Clark that's drawing attention to our league. She's drawing fans to our leagues, and they're responding to the fact that they're just coming because she's a white woman. No.
Do you think she feels like I've got to pull back rather than be the face of the league? I want to make sure I share it with everybody else because she should have competed in that 3-point contest. Why didn't she?
One, I don't think she wanted to bail out the NBA as it relates to the 3-point contest, but and she didn't want to put more attention on herself because the angry lesbians, particularly the black ones, have shouted her down and scared her and told that it's one of the most undercovered stories in all of sports, just how anti-heterosexual the WNBA is. Trust me, if they were anti-gay, it would be a story and they'd cover it every day. But since they're anti-heterosexual, no one talks about it. But you've had black women and other heterosexual women run from that league because of the harassment that they have faced in that league. And Caitlin Clark's got a boyfriend/fiance, and they don't like her. And they're trying to bully her into hopping on board with their BLM mentality and their alphabet mafia mentality. It's sad because I like Caitlin Clark, but I've watched her kind of bend the knee to the culture there, and it's been a tiny bit disappointing.
Absolutely. One quick question about sports. The NIL insanity that's going on. The whole thing here with Nico and Tennessee and Dad getting involved and wanting more money, I think it's a perfect example of not quite understanding how great you had it.
No question about it. Only because it's your audience, I'm going to go a tiny bit bigger picture because I think everyone can understand, hey, this kid's greedy, dad's greedy, and they just want more money. But what has happened to organized sports in America, if you go study the history of it, who organized sports globally and in America in the late 1800s? It was the Young Men's Christian Association, a.k.a. the YMCA. Most people don't even know what the YMCA stands for. But when it was originated, Young Men's Christian Association. And they had this view that we're going to promote a biblical masculinity through sports. They organized sports. The Catholic Youth Organization, the CYO, started in with the organizing of sports. And they wanted, again, promote biblical masculinity. As sports has turned more secular, it's lost. It's removed itself from all those Christian values and reflecting American values. And so now it's just all about greed and money now that it's a secular thing. And so some of this chaos is intentional because they've empowered the agents. Everything is about money, 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 money. And the agents are always thinking about how can I get more money. So Nico, hey, you're making $2 million here at Tennessee. I just got off the phone. You can make $3 million someplace else. Let's hit the transfer portal. It doesn't reward loyalty. It doesn't reward respect for elders and a hierarchy and paying your dues. These are all things that used to be commonplace in American sports, and it's all being stripped away because Marxists and the secular crowd have taken over the running of sports. And so the character of sports no longer reflects biblical values, the best ideals of Americana. None of that exists anymore in sports. It's just greed. It might as well be Wall Street.
It is. Absolutely. Well said. Jason Whitlock here. It is Chad Benson Show. We're going to wrap it up straight ahead. Super Talk 99.7.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Was
wrapping up the program. Normally I'd have Matt Murphy in here.
I'm
but
bad.
that's okay. Matt's over there. We love Matt.
We were just arguing about Babe Ruth.
Yeah, we
and
were.
You know what? Babe Ruth, Cy Young probably wasn't around in Babe Ruth, so he couldn't have won the Cy Young.
Yeah, Cy Young.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Jason Whitlock in here. Let's talk about what's going on, how people get tickets, how people get out and see what I think is very important when it comes to men, relationships with men, women, and you know, the future of America, which is, again, men. We're going to be involved.
Look, it's important, but it's also going to be one of the great weekends you can have. A Friday night intimate gathering, myself, Tucker Carlson, Randy Houser, comedian Steve Byrne at 3rd and Lindsley. Tickets available for that, very affordable. FearlessRollCall.com. Make sure you spell roll, R-O-L-L, rollcall.com, FearlessRollCall.com. Saturday, during the day, we're going to inspire. And the Friday night event is for men and women. It's a great date night. Get your Friday all locked in. Make your wife happy. Make your husband happy. You take him to a great event. He gets to hear me and Tucker Carlson talk for an hour, 2 hours. Really bold stuff. Saturday, turn back around during the day at Rocket Town and get inspired and encouraged and hear a game plan about why this culture war fight is not over and we shouldn't be exhaling and thinking, oh, Donald Trump's got it handled. No, we have to handle it. We have to stand shoulder to shoulder as men. We'll do that Saturday during the day. Then you grab your wife Saturday night, and we're going to feed you. We're going to give you, if you like to have a little taste of some good alcohol, we're going to give you that as well. Not to excess, but you're going to have a good time. The Duggar Band, Jordan and Seth Duggar, are going to perform, and we're going to have great food, and we're going to put a cap to your weekend, you and your wife, you and your girlfriend, you and your husband, whatever, and these tickets. Amazing pricing because I just want you there. It's important. I know many of you have relaxed. I want to re-energize you and get you ready to re-engage with the fight because we can't let Donald Trump try to do this all by himself. We have to be involved. FearlessRollCall.com. Promo code 997. 50% off all tickets.
You got about a minute here. If you want to tell people why the importance of this event and men in a day when, quite frankly, we're struggling in a major way. They have set the world up to be all girl power, all boss girl power. And in reality, somewhere along the line, I even talked to an old feminist the other day who said, look, you know what? When feminism came about, it was about equality. It was never about putting a man down so you could rise. Somewhere they've lost the plot. And we need to bring men back up, especially young men who I think are completely lost and women who are getting further away from them.
Your children are not safe in this current matriarchal-driven culture. They're being sexualized at schools. They're being confused gender-wise at schools. Again, if you move into a situation where 50%, 60%, 70%, 80% of your community is single parent, now your children are really getting exploited. We see this in the black community, which I am from, with the 80% single parent rate. Kids are super vulnerable and are getting exploited, molested, not educated, not taught the right values. And so it's important for men to stand up, and it's important, equally important, for men of different melanin hues and colors to stand shoulder to shoulder as believers because they're using race to divide us. And those of us that are believers, we have to put a stop to it, be a symbol. Tennessee, I want to turn into the harmony state, and we can do it right here in Nashville. FearlessRollCall.com, promo code 997.
This is Whitlock. Appreciate you coming in. Chad Benson Show. Matt, straight ahead.